Hallelujah. Praise the Most High, Yah.
Amen.
It's been a little bit, but we back. Yes. We are back, praising the Father, giving him all the glory and honor, that we have made it. And that we are on our way into the feast season.
Yes, yes, we sure are. For us, the next new moon will be the first month, and we will be counting 14 days until Pesach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we're still dealing with Psalms 119. And this one right here, it's all about deliverance, and it even start off like that in the first verse, talks about deliverance. And I do like this part because I know we were just talking earlier about how consistent it is, and we focusing on the salvation that the psalmist here is asking for, and it kind of brings us up to Pesach, when our ancestors was in Mitzrayim in Egypt, and the Father had delivered them, and He brought them out, and they was dealing with the Egyptians and all the heavy burdens that they had brought upon them. And a lot of those things we can relate to in our lives, the heavy burdens that may be on us and things. We may be dealing with illness, we may be dealing with financial situations. We may just be dealing with strife or all types of things that are in our life. But however, it's just if we look at what the psalmist have to say here in Kaf, Psalms 119, verses 81, starting when he says, "For your deliverance, my being has pent away, for I have waited for your word." And that's just something that we always want. We looking for the deliverance of whatever situation that we're in. Our ancestors looked for it when they were in bondage under the Egyptians. We're looking for it today throughout the four corners of the earth. We're looking for that deliverance to come. So I do like, excuse me, I do like the imagery that's being painted here. So it's like he's exhausted at this point. It's just like I'm waiting for this. But at the same time, he's like, there's a sense of urgency that I need in my life.
Yes.
But it's coming from the Father.
Yeah.
It's not coming from him or another man. Urgency he wants to come from the Father.
Like a fulfillment of something, the way
Yeah,
I see it.
exactly.
Like he's expecting this good day.
And it says it at the end right there. It
Yes.
said, "For I have waited for your word,
Mhm.
the word of the Father, the promise." So he's seeking something. His dependence is on the Most High. So this, like I said earlier, it mirrors the experience of many of us believers. And in times when we're going through trials, we find ourselves just yearning for the Father for His power to save us. And that's if we all have that same mindset, it's just so much easier to deal with those trials because we can easily go do something ourselves. I need for this to get paid. I'm gonna pray to the Father, Father, please help me with this. Father, please take care of this situation. I got this bill. I don't have enough money for it. And then I'm like, let me go swipe that credit card. And it's just like you didn't wait for the Father. You know, you did that on your own.
Like taking it into your own hands.
Exactly. And we don't want to, and that's just an example, because there's so many things that we can do that we can take into our own hands. And we got to realize that we have to wait and be patient. And that's what the psalmist is saying here. So the act of waiting implies patience and trust in the Father's timing and his promises. So when you talk about the word, he says, "For I have waited for your word," is referring to the Father's promises and his commands that he revealed throughout the scriptures when he's always dealt with our people. There was
Yes.
always a promise there.
The promises to the nation,
Yes.
because there are individual promises.
Uh-huh.
But this, I think we should incorporate ourselves as we should relate to this.
Yes.
We should be able to relate to this verse.
Oh, exactly.
Is there something in the Master has promised, an expectation for those who love him according to his riches and kindness?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, that's good.
deliverance,
Huh?
real deliverance, man. We found ourselves out here in Texas. I want to go home.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's something I have as an expectation, any day, however it sees. I mean, like imagine us being freed from this place. And I
Exactly.
think our modern captivity is so cushy, we don't see it. We making bricks without straw.
Oh man,
It's
that's
totally
good.
different.
Yeah.
Our slave masters these days are digital.
Exactly.
They take away our straw. We gonna figure it out, but we're not gonna notice it as heavily as our ancestors did.
Yeah. It was really
It's
heavy
different.
on them.
It's
It's
different.
way different, and I love what you said that we can get comfortable
Yes, sir.
so easily. We have these amenities that a lot of people, even our people who are
Hmm.
all in the four corners of the earth here in the USA, we have a lot of amenities that it can make us comfortable. It can make us kind of get out of line with the Father and
Hmm.
not see things clearly.
Hmm.
You have brothers and sisters who are in third world countries. They don't have access to the things that we have.
Oh, their faith is different.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
so we should be praising the Father every single day
Hmm.
because, you can feel how you want to feel about this country, but
Hmm.
we do have it cush here.
I guess the difference is like sometimes, you got captivity to where you're in the palace,
Hmm.
but you still under control.
Exactly.
You in the city, but you still under control. You
Uh-huh.
in the field, but you still under control. And then you got the people that never left the land.
Mhm.
They don't have all the people, they don't have all the resources there
Right.
because everybody else is in captivity.
Uh-huh.
So it makes me think about like we read about in Ezra. Ezra was coming from a place of authority,
Yeah.
so what his captivity was different,
Hmm.
so I think, we can relate to that idea. Like, do we answer to the king? Or do we have people of authority in our life?
Right.
You have your own bank account, so our expectation of looking for the Father is just a tad bit different from those who have less than us.
Yeah.
And then with that mindset, I think it could help us have more sympathy. And for those people who have a desire, we talked about that the lesson today. We'll more lift that up. Some people, all they have is like a woman with the two coins.
Hmm.
To her, most people comparing themselves to her, they're gonna think, that they're billionaires.
Hmm.
The reality is that her giving was from the heart,
Right.
and her what she said, and however she gave, it was so noticeable compared to everyone else's abundance.
Hmm.
So here she is in the midst of everyone else, and I think that that's kind of how we can relate. We can relate and find ourselves. Hey, guess what? We can have this great show of faith, and show of waiting on the Father's promises, and it can be shown in such the littlest ways. It's just, how can I say? Everybody's expectation is different.
Hmm.
Is really the point of it. And I
Yeah.
think with this verse, it really highlights how the way you attach yourself to the Father's promises is going to change the way you live it out. You know, some people feel like they need to do more, some feel like they need to do less.
Right.
So when it's all said and done, this person is literally saying that their soul has wasted away
Hmm.
because they're waiting to see the promise of the Father. And I say, if there's a theme that we all can put in mind here without doing too much word soup, is that verses 81 through 88, all in that same mindset of expectation. Like I was telling you earlier, like somebody with their hands out like this, waiting for the master to fill their palms, whether it be with water, righteousness, deliverance, funds, whatever it is. Because like you said earlier, Hebraic expectation, or the way we say it in English, hope, isn't always this happy experience.
Hmm.
It's not like waiting 2 weeks for your bank account to get filled from working for the last 40 hours previously, right? This is more like I've I'm being directed to have a long-term faithfulness, even when things start getting dim, even when things start getting out of focus. I'm going to remain faithful to what was said, versus seeking just to be comforted, short-term comfort. This person is willing to go the long term, the long distance is the way I'm seeing it. Like when we talk about waiting in this context. And man, I want to make it through all these verses,
Uh-huh.
but I know this one we have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah.
So just as far as 81 is concerned, so it's kala mish shutecha nafshi. So it's like the root word there would be yasa, or salvation,
Hmm.
which we all know the Hebrew name for the Messiah is. His actual name would have been derived from this word, which some would say Yehoshua. The idea here be save, salvation. But with this word, you can also get Yeshua, or you can get Yesa, or there is another word, uh, Shiva, which is cry. So there's a whole lot in this word right here about waiting for his deliverance. And the idea of deliverance in Hebraic context is to be rescued from trouble. Um, so the trouble, or to be freed from something, when we think about being freed or we think about being delivered, we're thinking about freedom from sin and death, right? And in that mindset, we see that there's a desire that it's not just something. Being free from sin is not a emotion. It's not a feeling.
Right.
This is a choice. It's the idea of you've been given a choice to make. It's now clear to you that you no longer choose to disobey what the Father has spoken. It's obvious now. He said to do this, he said not to do that. Now I have the choice to acknowledge, like with an open mind, that I won't go against what he said. I now know the difference. And I think that's the thing we're thinking about. And like we said earlier, we're getting into Pesach season, Passover season. So seeing, Yeshua in it, literally in the middle of this word is Yeshua, that we can find deliverance. And I think that that's how we can see that we can make a little connection to waiting for Yah's deliverance as a cry towards seeking Yah's salvation this Passover season, and how we're looking towards seeing Yah's goodness. It's like I'm making a choice. One thing about Passover is it took place before the crossing of the Red Sea, right? So that means all the original, the first one. So the first Passover, that means that those people had to willfully choose to do. They had to choose to have the blood over them. They had to choose to be covered. So I'm looking at it this way: is that we're also making a choice to put behind us something. The Mitzrayim in our life, the bondage in our life, is that we need to really have a conscious decision to put the wicked behavior behind us. And then we need to realize that by faith, we've received this invitation to be more than just different. 'Cause I think our faith isn't is just to make us different; it's to set us apart. And when that is in that, to me, isn't this idea of being. It's like I said, it's more than just being different. It's to be as Yah intended. That I'm better when I'm the way Yah intended me to be.
Right.
And in that, I find myself free from my past mistakes. Not just overlooking, but accepting it, and then overcoming what I was, in order to see who I could be. And that idea for me brings stuff to mind, like Lot's wife. Like, if she could have just let go of what she had in her heart regarding Saddam, imagine what she could have been. But instead, she held on to it. And instead of choosing deliverance, she died in her bondage. She died where she was. And versus us, we can choose to let go. So if I want to be honest, I could say, what's really holding me back from seeing Yah's salvation this season? And I would say it's simple stuff. Like, it holds us all back: bitterness, unforgiveness, laziness towards the truth, willful ignorance, pride. And then the hardest one is letting go of control. Because giving your life over to the Father, you put yourself in his hand. And the master said, whatever in my hand, as in the Father's hand, no one can take it. So I think that in that mindset, we have to have heart that's really leaning towards the words of Kepha in his first letter. He said that in so First Peter chapter 1 verse 13, it says, therefore, having girded up the loins of your mind, be sober and set your expectation perfectly on the favor which is to be brought to you at the revelation of Yeshua the Messiah, as obedient children, not conforming yourself to your former lust and ignorance. So, and with that, that means that's the point I was saying about making a choice. I want to go, like Ruth said, where you go, I go. Where you die, I go. I want to be where Yah is, and Yah is not going to be found in the place of my former lust and ignorance. So I'm going to need to let go of those things. And I can't use those things as excuses, because he's willing to forgive. But am I willing? And I think that when it's all said and done, choice to be the new creature in Yeshua, every person can make. Every person can make that. And in verse 15, it says, instead, as the one who called you is set apart, you should also become set apart in all your behavior. As it's written, be set apart as I am set apart. And if you call upon the Father who without partiality judges each one's work, pass your time in sojourning in fear, knowing that you were redeemed from your futile behavior, which you inherited from your fathers, not with corruptible silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Yeshua the Messiah as a lamb, spotless and unblemished. So that's the thing for me. It's like, okay, so why would the Father pay such a high price to redeem something that what the world may consider is invaluable? I mean, that has no value. Obviously, we do have value in the Father intrinsically. And each person needs to, for me, I had to come to terms with that. I had to get over my lowly self opinion in order to see that the Master gave the highest price for me and that he redeemed me. But I inherited fruitless behavior from my forefathers. And in my own life, I practiced the same evils they did time and time again from the past. And that was just the idea for me in this. I have to have faith that Yah knows how to rescue me from my trouble
Mhm.
and that each person can be rescued because he knows how to deliver us. And in every situation, there is an opportunity for escape to those who love him. And it's since we're getting into the season, it says for us to cleanse out the old leaven. So that again is a cry towards becoming new in our behavior, in our thinking, in the way we carry about ourselves in our relationships, and just seeing that there is a choice you can make. It's more than just thinking, it's an action. And it starts with that, for me, that cry, like in the middle of the word for your salvation in this portion. The opportunity to cry out and say, I'm waiting, now it's time to make the move. I think each person, it's time for us to make a move. And this is something each individual has to do for themselves, not for anyone else. Know that you are the one that needs to be delivered, and that's what each person has to do for themselves. Because I'm not going to stand before the judgment seat for anybody but me, you know. So I think that with our hope being in the Father, knowing that He can save us, He's able to save us, but am I going to remain faithful until my situation changes? That's the hard part, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. That's real good. That's real good, man. I think when you look at what you said and everything that the psalmist put in verse 81, this is our journey as believers, the journey from weakness to confidence.
Hmm.
When we get to that point where we're confident, it's not that we're confident in ourselves and our ability. We're confident in the things of the Father.
Hallelujah.
Those things that He give us to be confident. Yeah, we could say, okay, I did this, I said this, I went about it this way. We always got to give glory to the Father in all that we do. Because at times that when I was weak, I always put my trust in the Father. I can't say I always did, but the times that I didn't, I regretted it. Because I knew, like, why didn't I seek the Father in this moment?
Mm.
And sometimes we can get blinded by what's going on in our life, what's going on in this world, and like we was talking about living in this country. Now, some people they may have it like a person in a third world country, but not everyone do. So when I when I have abundance, is my faith the same as the person that's without? You know, because that faith thing can be determined by your situation and your environment.
Mhm.
Because let's just say a person who has more, a person who has less, if they go through the same trial, is their response going to be the same? We will hope that it would be the same, but being realistic, it may not be. Because that person without, I found out that, I come from a poor household. I look back on where I was as a child and growing up poor and felt like I was more happier than without, you know. And I look at the way things are today and I see how people who have more, and I'm not even gonna say today, I can go back to my childhood. I remember I had a friend and we went to my friend's house and my friend had this huge house, this huge room, and I'm just like, this is amazing. I never seen anything like it. My friend was depressed. You know, my friend was doing things that I would have never thought of doing. And I'm just like, how is it that you have all of this and you feel that way? You know, and so when I look at it, I think a lot of times if we get to a certain point in our life, we got to look at our environment and really do a self-examination on ourselves to make sure that we are in line with the Father no matter what. So my faith should be the same as the person who is without, even if I have more. You
Hmm.
know, they should be the same, and there are times when we're feeling depleted. I just love how the psalmist here, he fixate his hope on the Father's salvation. So he chooses to wait with patience. And he leans entirely on the unchanging word of the master. And that's what counts.
Exactly.
That's what counts.
Am I still faithful even when things aren't going my way? You know, and I think that's tough.
It is.
And like what you said earlier, I've talked to my wife about in plenty of other different situations. Not as a struggle, just as a conversation. It was talking about the threshold for happiness. People are like, "Why are you so happy?" I was like, "I have a low threshold for happiness. It's
Mhm.
not going to take me a whole lot to make me happy."
Exactly.
you
I
know,
like that.
and
Yeah.
it's like with that, that little becomes a lot. It
Mhm.
becomes a lot. Like you said with that room. Okay, I know my children like to build forts, so I already know they can only build like 2 or 3 forts in their room. With a room as big as the one you were describing, they might be able to build a whole castle, but
Exactly.
it's still just blankets and chairs and stuffed animals, because to me, happiness, each person is really in control of, what does make them happy.
Mhm.
Same with anger. And unfortunately, if I get influenced by other sources, I think it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't really take that much to make someone happy.
Exactly.
The problem is the, how could I say, the necessity um, for wanting to stay happy. That's the problem.
Hmm.
Like I should let something, for me personally, I shouldn't let something little upset me for hours. But can I also let something little keep me happy for hours? And I think that that's the thing for me. I'd rather be like the latter, where hey, this small encounter where we came and made a friendship over things that are set apart, that right there should be able to sustain my joy, for a long time. Or I think sometimes people have those encounters where someone does something for you. Like I went to the grocery store and someone bought all my groceries. I shouldn't let that slip from my mind.
Right.
The next time I'm feeling depressed, I should be like, yeah, I remember that time that person bought all my groceries. And I can be re-encouraged. I think there's scriptures like that about stir yourself up, you know, to good works and belief and all those good things. We have every good thing the master has given you. He's already done it to you in your life multiple times. Multiple times good has come your way. And if we let it, it can keep us in a place of joy for a long time.
I
Like when
do
we
like
think
that.
about the things of the master, like those things are going to be exciting. Not everybody's going to say, "Oh man, you sitting around here looking at these funky letters, these Hebrew letters is exciting." Well, not for everybody, but for me it is.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the same for everyone. But I liked what you said, because I've always wondered that as well. Why is it that, what are you depressed about? And I'm not saying serious things can't happen,
Yeah, that is true.
but how do you want to be freed? Like the man sitting on the side of the pool. There's a story where a man was sitting on the side of the pool and he's like, "Well, no one's here to put me in." It's like, "Well, how long are you just gonna wait here?" And the master was, to me, trying to encourage him, is just all like, all the opportunities you've had. He had an excuse for everything he said. And I just think sometimes it shouldn't be this hard for us to be recovered, to be healed, to get back up on our feet, to give it a second try.
Mhm.
And success isn't gonna be, to me, on your first attempt. If you're trying to become wise, there's gonna be some trouble.
That is true. That is true, man. That's real good. We're going to move over to verse 82. There's a lot there in 81.
Yeah.
So 82 says, "My eyes have pinned away for your word, saying, when will it comfort me?" So he's saying like my eyes have failed. So he's saying he's acknowledging the physical and the emotional. Again, he's exhausted. after the long season of waiting, because we all go through different seasons, just like, the earth, we say we have 4 seasons now. Some would say two, but the seasons change.
Yes.
And those seasons that we go through, it change. You can be feeling healthy and good one month or two later, you're sick. You got pain, you may have to have surgery, things like that may happen. And again, now I always bring up the financial thing because it could be a burden for us here in the world that we live in now, and especially in this environment. Things can change. But every time the season change, that don't mean that our faith should change. Our faith should be the same in every season, no matter what it's looking like. If things are up or if things are down.
Yes.
So it's like, in I love just how he's admitting that his strength has been spent at this point. So it's like, Father, when would you comfort me? And that's the core question is when. So it really reveals a heart, certain that the comfort is coming. Like he know that the comfort is coming, and the struggle is still there, and he feel like maybe it's being delayed, but the faith is still there. Yeah, it's delayed, but it's the faith is still there. I buy a plane ticket or a train ticket or a bus ticket, and it says that the plane or the bus or whatever it is going to leave at this time, but it's delayed. When I made that purchase, I still have faith that this plane is going to take off, even if it is delayed. Even if
Yes.
the word of Yah is delayed, it's still going to come, but it's going to come in the right season. And
Exactly.
that's what we have to focus on as believers. So I like what David said in Psalm 6 and 3, when he says, and my being has been greatly troubled in you, oh Yah, to win. Like when are you gonna fix this situation? So I'm asking, like, when are you gonna do this? My wife asked me to do something. When you gonna change that light bulb? Hmm. It's gonna happen. Maybe I forgot, maybe I'm procrastinating, but it's gonna happen. And she knows it's gonna happen. She know I'm gonna change it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get there. And so I look at it the same as with the Father. Like the Father is going to heal, or he's going to bring about a better situation. And I really do love that he's asking the question, when would it comfort me? So he's being honest too. So it's this tension between confident faith and weary waiting, because at times when we wait, we're humans. We can become weary. Let's not pretend like we just full of this faith,
Like it's a
you
superpower.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's different.
even
It's
even
different.
with what Job was going through,
Yes.
he
It's
had
suffering.
faith in the
Yeah.
Father. His faith was so
Plus
strong.
boils,
What's
all sorts of other things
Yeah, he
going
had
on
a
in his
lot
life.
going on.
He was going through.
Yeah. He had a lot going on, and he still kept that confidence in the Father. It says eyes grow like the eyes grow dim, but yet believer keeps searching the scriptures. We keep praying constantly. We are expecting for the Father to bring about a sureness in our life. That's what we're looking for. And no matter what we go through, we gotta keep that faith. We gotta keep the
Hmm.
confidence in our decisions to serve the Father. We decided to serve the Father. So no matter what situation you're in, don't give up. Just keep going forward. The Father will take care of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
People make that statement, Yah's good all the time. It's
hmm
true.
It
Because
is.
Yah's goodness doesn't change about my circumstances. And I like when we have this type of contrast going on, because we really need to have that perception versus perspective thing.
hmm
Is it good because the way I see it, like, or can I see something isn't necessarily favorable and still find good in it? And that's the mindset I choose to go with.
Right.
Look for the good in this. See the need for me to keep going in this scenario, because it isn't always readily available. It's not always on the surface.
Right.
Sometimes I got to do some digging. The master always brought up his parables and about the kingdom in that way. It was, this woman hid it in 3 measures of flour. You know,
Hmm.
or it's something that's out in a field, or it's a lost coin. You know, it's like these things are not easy to find.
Hmm.
You know, you've got to search, you've got to seek, you've got to ask, you've got to knock. And it's not just, I think sometimes when it comes down to the world, we've got this 21st century mentality about that the technologic age has made us, it's made getting what we want easier. You know, we don't want to order from this website because it's going to take 6 days.
Right.
But if we order from this website, we can get it tomorrow.
Hmm.
So which one we think we're going to go with, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like we want that as for everything in our life. We want that for our troubles. We want it in every single way. But I see with this hope, this ancient measure of hope, he's literally having a raw, honest expectation
Yeah.
moment with the master
Yeah.
in his prayer. And I like that one thing that we can notice about this, the way he speaks to the Most High. Notice that he's not saying why,
Hmm.
he's saying when.
Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that really shows your heart. Like you said earlier, I know that you're going to change the light bulb,
Mhm.
you know, but when?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, and it's like with this is to me, this goes to show when we often build this idea, we call ourselves servants.
Mhm.
This is the difference. Servant who knows his master's heart, they can say stuff like when, not why. And that's the difference. That's the difference. Because I'm not losing trust that the outcome, it's for me, this person, the servant is saying that I have trust in the outcome, but I'm just having a moment of trying to understand the timeliness of when the promise will come to pass. And the idea is like you ever stare at something for so long and your eyes get out of focus and everything gets a little blurry.
Mhm.
That to me is what he's saying. He's all like, I know you said this, but it's falling out of focus. Remind me,
Mhm.
I need help in this moment. And that's one thing. Like I ask for help. I ask y'all for help.
Right.
I don't ask. I don't want to quit. I'm not gonna run away from it. I need help. You know, and that's what I think he's really saying. And it's like, have we ever been honest enough to just tell the Father how I'm seeing things and just saying, Father, I know what you promised, but things are looking a little blurry right now. But I still believe in your intervention in my life. I still believe you're going to intervene. You know, and I think that that's something because we talk about crying, and we know crying is not bad. It's good. It's okay to cry.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people take it as a sign of weakness, and it's really that we have expectation.
Right.
That's really it. We have the faith that something good is going to come. That Yah, I think it's Psalms 146:5. It says, "Blessed is he who has El of Yaakov for his help, whose expectancy, whose hope is in Yahweh, is Elohim." And that's the thing. It's like I know where my help comes from, you know. And the idea is that I'm needy from the things of the Father. I could say
Mhm.
that I'm needy for Yah's ways.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
good.
shalom
I love that.
from Yahweh. I want arguments to cease. I want contention to run away. I want dissension to go away. So when it comes to me looking for those things, I'm always going to be looking for it. Even if I got to get blurry vision over it, I know it's going to come because Yah's an Elohim that loves shalom, brings shalom. He hates division and strife. You know, he brings things together. We're as humans, we're the ones who pull things apart. So I just think, you know, we can seek Yah. We know that, you know, being poor and needy for righteousness' sake, it will be filled. He who thirsts will be
Mhm.
filled in righteousness. You know, if you're hungry and thirsty for those things.
Right.
But that's man, it's just a really good verse, and it's really encouraging to know that I can. To me, this is someone who's got control over their emotions.
Yeah.
Their emotions don't have control of them. So yeah, go ahead, have your moment.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, get back to work
Exactly.
of faithfulness.
Yeah. Oh
Get
man,
back to
that's
work
good.
of being faithful. Don't let your weak moment put you out of commission. You know,
I like that. That's very good. Very good.
this next verse is fired up.
Yeah, I just like this one. When you say fire, where
Yeah.
there's fire, there's smoke. So he says, I have become like a wineskin in the smoke. Your laws I have not forgotten. So,
You know
uh,
what? I think we might cliffhanger right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get in verse 83 on the next one.
All right. We can come back to that. Yeah. All right, that's a good one though. I do like that one.
So the wineskin and the smoke.
Yeah, let's get into that because I did have a lot on that one. So
Yes.
yeah,
There's a whole lot to say. Until then, I say all glory be to the Most High Yah. Know that He will comfort you even in your failing eyes. Praise Yah.
hallelujah, hallelujah, shalom, shalom.